Recently, Laravel has been adding a lot of new features that help get started for new Laravel projects. The first one that should come included in any Laravel project when you do like Laravel new project name, if you use the installer, or if you download from other place, it comes set up and prepared, is a Docker setup. So if you ever used a Docker, you can see here it comes with this Docker compose file. And this will set up a little Docker instance on your computer that runs anything you need to get started with developing a base Laravel project. So it has web, it comes with a MySQL database set up. You can swap that out for Postgres if you want. Comes with Redis, options for Memcache, and it comes with a mail server so that if you're testing emails, you can just open up a page in your browser and see them right in there. So when you run it, so what you do when you first get it is you have to have Docker installed and be able to run. So that's like a whole nother lesson of itself. I think we have actually a video up that kind of covers doing your own Docker customization. So I think Alex did talk on that. He was a little bit ahead of the curve. And we're pretty sure that the Laravel team might have stolen the talk, and implemented it. So whenever you want to run a new project, you can go into the Laravel thing, and then you'll have a command called sail. And then to get started, you'll want to do sail up. So this is just like Docker compose up. This will get running. See, it starts up the various services, and then you'll have a log. You can also do, if you're familiar with Docker, you can also do sail up -d, which I won't run, but this would run it without an output. You'd be able to use your command line here still, and it would run in the background. But now, instead of running any commands locally, so if you're familiar with Laravel, you have to migrate the database. So if you're running sail, to run stuff inside the container, they have in the sail command, you can run sail artisan, and this will give you access to any artisan command that you normally run. So if you ever see if you're using sail and you ever see in the docs, it'll usually say like PHP artisan or just artisan and then a command. You'll just have to prefix that with sail to run it inside of the Docker container because it's running inside, because it's like separated from your local machine. So in this case, we'll run sail artisan migrate. Oh, I'm in a different directory here. So sail artisan migrate would be one thing I might want to run. And once this finishes, you see it migrated, and now these are all in that MySQL database that's set up here that binds to 80. So here, just sail up and you have your project running right away. And then the web host, if you're looking for emails, I won't send any in this one right here, but 8025, we'll open up this. This is Mailhog. So this will show up any emails you send from within the application, and the local setup will end up here. And this is just like a little inbox if you ever used it before. And then, so if you ever run into issues, the env looks a little bit different from what you might see. Like the host is this MySQL string. This is Docker specific. So it's just a way to connect to that MySQL thing in here. So it's just the name of this container. This one trips me up a lot. I think this they actually must have just updated this, because before it was still pointing to a different default. So it's nice they set that's to the correct option now. And you can see that it looks like they updated this to also connect to Mailhog immediately. So everything should be good to go out of the box. Like I said, this usually is installed and ready to use whenever you use the Laravel new command, or install it in any other way. To get it working just now, I did have to run composer require Laravel sail --dev, and then PHP artisan sail install. So if you're running any issues, doesn't seem to be working out of the box, you might just have to run these commands here, which you can find just in the Laravel docs at the sale. But it's pretty easy to get going. There's not much to it. So this is just a way to run without having to install all of the PHP servers and MySQL databases locally on your machine, which is so you don't have to manage them yourself, which is really nice. So everything we'll be looking at, I'll be running within these sale containers. So it might take a minute to switch between them. But then the next thing.
So Nathan, that's straight Laravel without any auth.
Yep, that's just setting up a new project and getting it running.
Got it.
Yep, that's all you need to just get it off the grid, just to get actually like a server running and being able to visit the landing page. Doesn't have anything else on top of that.
Got it.
So, and then where things get really confusing is this next one. We'll look at Laravel Breeze, which I think is the newest one that they've released. And if you're familiar with the really simple Laravel authentication that it used to come with in every install, this will look really familiar. They deprecated the old way and replaced it with this new one once people were upset that the old way was deprecated. So let me pull up the docs here for Breeze so that I make sure I install the right thing. So you can require Laravel Breeze. And once that finishes installing, they have one command to install it. All right, so that's finished installing. We'll run the, so we don't want to run this. I'm going to be running it in Sail. So I'm going to do Sail up D so that I can actually use this prompt. I forgot I need to install. I think I just need to actually, I think Sail install. Okay. Here we go. So turn on the servers. And now I'll do Sail artisan Breeze install. So finish running. It asks you to run npm install and run dev to compile some front end assets. Run that.
Which I believe, Nathan, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't used Sail yet, but you can do Sail npm install and Sail run dev, correct?
You're right. That probably would be the correct way to do it. That would probably be the correct way to do it.
Installed inside of the like the PHP container, or they have a node container or something. I forget, but I think that I saw or read somewhere that you can do Sail npm install.
I haven't tried it, but I think you're right. That would be the correct way, because then you would use the proper version of npm, but it doesn't really matter for this. All right, so that's finished. And then since we have authentication, we need our database tables. So do artisan migrate as well. And then if we visit localhost, we can see it turned on these login and register links up here in the corner. So we don't have an account yet, so we'll go and register. Log in with example email, register. And then I'm logged in. I can log out, log in. And this is just the most basic authentication that you can get for Laravel. Doesn't have anything extra. It's just logging in, logging out. And then this is where we can actually, there's the only thing to really customize with Breeze is that you can turn on email verification. Let me make sure that I have the right spot for that. It also implements, I think, in here. So you can see by default, this user model will include this must verify email. And this is an interface. It includes it even though it doesn't use it, because you can include. I always mess up those. So you can include use must verify email. Oops, actually that's the wrong one. Oh, wait a minute. Where does this, I forget where this goes now that I'm thinking about it. I usually don't turn this on for mine.
I think it goes implement. So
Implements,
expense
right.
that implements must verify email.
I think, if I remember correctly, they might have added, we'll see if they add another option where you have to turn this on. Let me just make sure.
I know if you're
It's
using
not
Fortify, you do have to enable something else, but I don't
don't remember where it is either. I don't know. I don't think this actually uses Fortify though, which we'll get to later. So if I go and try to register another account, I forgot to set a variable setting. Let's see. All right, if you do want to send emails, you have to set this .env value for this from address. I don't know why it doesn't come with the default one, but I think I have to register a new email now. Okay, log out, register. All right. So I don't have it currently requiring verification, but it's just an easy way. So now you can see at localhost 8025, since we're running sale, you can look at the emails that come in through here. Here we could verify the email address. Nothing really changes here because I didn't use check for the verification, but it's just a really easy way to like get those emails from that 8025 port page. So that's really all there is to Laravel Breeze. It's just really straightforward authentication. So if you just need something really quick and basic to authenticate users in your project, Breeze is, and if you're familiar, especially if you've used Laravel in the past and were familiar with the old verification, it's basically the same. It's pretty much, it's like the exact same thing. Just easy to implement and really quick. And then after that, they came out, and then earlier actually it was probably late last year, they came out with a second way to add authentication to your projects called Laravel Jetstream. And I finally I think I finally remember what all of these different things are called after like working with them for like a few months. And Jetstream, it makes use of several other packages underneath of it that it kind of builds on top of. And there are two different options when you use Jetstream. So start with one of them. So I'll actually show what the setting up a project with Jetstream kind of looks like. So if you use the Laravel new command, they have a new option where you can choose, if you pass in this flag called Jet, it'll actually set up a new project using Jetstream. I'll give you some prompts. So it's which Jetstream stack do you prefer? So these are the two different options, Livewire and Inertia. So if you're not familiar with either of them, Livewire is mostly just if you want to use Blade templates, just basically HTML without a ton of JavaScript, you'll want to go with the Livewire option. And if you like to use Vue, the JavaScript framework, you'll want to go with the inertia option, which is basically just a wrapper around, which just uses Vue and provides a Laravel wrapper. So you would choose one of these. Jetstream also comes with an option to use teams. I won't be looking at teams in this because it adds like a little bit more. But we'll go with no. That's a really neat feature that comes with that you can have team support, and then your users can either create teams or they can join other teams. And it all works once you get it installed. So then it'll finish it setting up and it'll install Jetstream. See an example one pop up over here. We actually won't use that, so just stop that so you don't have to wait for it. So, and then I've already set up one with inertia and one with Livewire. So just look at Livewire real quick, just to see what Jetstream looks like. No matter which option you choose, the front end is going to look the same to your users. So they won't really notice the difference. So I think I actually forgot to turn off. So I started Sail in the background into this Breeze folder. So I have to go in and tell it to Sail stop to turn off that server. Otherwise I'd have some port conflicts when I started it up again in this other project. Let's just finish. All right. Now we'll do Sail up again. And forgot to do artisan Sail install. I'm not sure exactly why they changed that. Hopefully it's just a bug. All right. Sail up. And here we go. So I believe it compiled everything. So if I go and check out this page again, I won't have any of my accounts because should be a different project. Oh, I forgot to run artisan migrate. All right, so you can see it adds a lot more tables this time. This comes with a lot more features, so it has a whole bunch of other tables that it adds. All right, now we should be good. So you have the similar login, register. Okay. So I have not run, it does require me to run sail npm install. So fortunately it doesn't set up this, I thought it ran this before, but apparently not. So yeah, fortunately giving talks about install of setting these up requires a lot of installation. But, so. I will quick show the difference between these two projects while that installs. So the main difference between an inertia Jetstream project and a Livewire Jetstream project is going to be in your resources folder here. So this is where usually views would go, or JavaScript or CSS. So for the Livewire option, it looks pretty similar to what you might have seen before. You have a bunch of different blade.php files. They all look pretty much the same on the inside. As probably what you're most familiar with if you work with just Laravel projects. And then the JavaScript is basically is pretty much just the default. Don't really include too much JavaScript. So that's why if you want to avoid JavaScript and just mostly use the blade files, Livewire is the best option. Whereas in inertia, you're going to find in the resources folder, instead you're going to have one view and it's just a boilerplate. So there's nothing really to change in here. And then all of your front end code lives in the JavaScript file directory instead, because it's just a Vue project. So you have all different Vue files for all the different parts of your project. And then view setup here in the app.js. And then, so whenever you're working with inertia, you'll be running like an actual view front end. Still going. All right, let's see. So, okay, Livewire is almost done running here. So let me open up one of these pages. There we go. So here in the Livewire project, see most of it here is all the same as what it would usually be, just a regular route that returns views. And all of the authentication code and most of the pages we'll look at here in a minute when this is done running are all managed in the background by the Jetstream package. So, and then the one thing that Livewire does have that probably if you've worked with just regular Laravel projects you haven't run into before, I don't think it has anything in the actual project that you have to worry about yourself. The Livewire is a separate package that you can install on just any project you want, any Laravel project you want. And it provides a sort of asynchronous way of fetching HTML that I definitely don't have time to get into tonight. But it's not included. You don't see any of that kind of code in your actual app directory unless you want to use it. But it's totally fine to just ignore that Livewire is even a package that's included. It gets used by some of the Jetstream pages, but if you're not modifying those, you don't even have to worry about it. You can just write the regular blade files however you want. All right, and dev. Okay, hopefully this shouldn't take as long. I think it's running. There it goes. All right. So with the Livewire projects, like I said, you should only have to run the npm install and npm run dev one time, since most of the front end code you'll be writing would be in view files. They don't need to get recompiled by npm. All right, there we go. So now, come back here, it should open up. So it looks pretty similar to the Breeze loading page. It's a little bit different, but for the most part, it's the same. Create an account here. See, it has a little bit of a fancier landing page, but if you come up here and now instead of just having log out, there's also a profile option. And come in here and it gives your users just a way to edit their information. So they can change their name, their email, they can set a new password. They can log out other browser sessions, delete their account, and they can even enable two-factor authentication. So I'll input my password here. Then I could scan this QR code and keep these backup tokens available. And then this all works. It doesn't require any extra APIs or anything. It's all just built into Jetstream. Refresh this page now, and you can see they can check their recovery codes. You can't see the QR. And then anytime, I didn't save that, so I won't be able to log in here. But if I try to log in, it'll do exactly what you expect and asks for a code from my authenticator app. Or they can use a recovery code if they have that. So I don't know if I can log, and then so it provides all that out of the box. And like I said, there is an option if you wanted to have teams. Your users would then have the option to create teams, and they can even join multiple teams and switch between them. And then those teams have a settings page where they can change the name or invite other users.
Very recently, they added the ability to add users that are not already part of the system.
I tried that out, and what it does is it sends them an email that tells them to sign up for an account, and then they create an account, and then they go back to the email and click the regular link to join the team. So it's actually like the exact same, but it tells them to sign up first.
Huh. All right.
Before, I think it would, before it would, if you try to invite somebody who was not already a user of the site, it would tell you that they had to join before you could send them an invitation. So it is a little bit nicer. Let me see. If you wanted to send, so this is the one, if you wanted to require users to verify their email, like I showed in the Breeze project, it's a little bit harder. You don't just come in here. You do have to come in here and say implements must verify email like before. But then there's also, if it's a config setting here, just make sure before I say that. Yeah. So there will be when you do in a Jetstream project, there'll be a config called a config file at config/file system fortify.php. And at the bottom of that file, there's a couple of different authentication features that you can use. So here you can see they include email verification, but it's commented out. So if you want users to verify their email, you can come and uncomment that, or you can remove other features if you don't want them to have whatever features. If you don't want them to be able to update their password, you can just comment that out. Now I'm going to have to, or if you don't want, actually turn off two-factor authentication. And I think, yeah. So turn off two-factor authentication, and then I believe that this should, if I create another account here, since I
do you want to enable the other one so that it forces you to verify? Well, I guess you already registered.
I forgot to do the sender email address again. I forget. I can't remember. I never can remember what the name of that middleware is.
I think it's in the routes. I think you just do verify true.
Try it. Where did you say it is?
Go to your routes file. And then there should be...
Oh, it does say verified. So it already has it. So I think it should show us here. So I register a new account. Oops, I messed up the password. All right, so now this is what I was essentially, now before I can actually join the account, I have to go to localhost 8025. I see verify email address. I'll click on that. And now verified. So now I can get into the app. I go to my profile. You see, I turned off that feature in the fortify.php, and it automatically hides it from this page because it knows that that feature's not enabled. So it'll hide that from this page here. And that'll work for any of these options you change, like so that they can't update their password, or if they can't delete their account, those will show up here. So most of the authentication features are in here. There's also a jetstream.php config file, which has a couple more options. So here is the account deletion. You can't quite just uncomment this Teams feature and have it work, but the docs will have some info on turning that on if you wanted to turn that on after setting up a project without it. But you can also have terms and privacy policy. So if you turn this one on, it will show a little checkbox on the register page saying, please accept our terms and privacy and that you read the terms and the privacy policy and that you agree to them. I can show you that one. That's easy enough to look at. So now if I register, you can see you have to check I agree to that. Log back into my account here. And then There's also profile photos and an API that you can turn on. So in here, you can see now instead of just the user's name, they'll see a little profile photo. If they go to their profile now, they can also select a new photo and I'll upload. So you'll need to make sure if you turn that on that your server can handle file uploads and storing them properly. And then there's also, if you turn on the API option, they have a page that you can go to get API tokens. And the user can give them names, and then they also can come with permissions. And permissions, I believe, are, I'm not sure exactly which file they're managed in. I think it might actually be the provider for Jetstream. Let me see. I'm not sure which one that is. Yeah. So in this Jetstream service provider function, if a file, you can see there's an option for default API token permissions. You can see, so that just means that the read checkbox is checked by default. And then here's a list with all the permissions you might give somebody that they could check. So maybe you have a user create permission, add that in there, and then it'll show up on this page. And then you see that the read is checked by default from there. So that's pretty much all. Those are like all the features that Jetstream provides. I won't go and build inertia because from the front end, like I said, everything looks exactly the same if you use the inertia option to set it up. It's just that it works a little bit differently. So you'll be working with JavaScript view files instead of blade files. And then there is the only other difference that you have to watch out for is that when you write, instead of returning, since you're not using blade files, instead of doing return view like you normally would in a lot of Laravel projects, you'll be using this inertia class and calling render and then giving it the name instead. So in this case, this inertia when render welcome will go in and it'll look in the resources JavaScript pages, and then it'll look for a file called welcome, and then pull that out, view the file, and use that as the base. And then this is just your standard view. There's nothing special about it. It's just a component that'll show up, be rendered onto the page. Yeah, otherwise all of the config settings are the same for the inertia projects. You can customize in the same way. It's just they have a different rendering and they use view. So I know that was pretty fast, but there's a lot of stuff to get through, and hopefully, like I said, this will be up on YouTube, so you can always go back and look through it again. And there's lots of really good documentation on the Laravel website that has all of the setup and configuration even more in depth than this.